In the history of MMA, we've seen young prospects who look like they're going to get the title one day fall and never get back up. And we've seen old vets who were counted out and get back to the title and actually win the title. And we've seen this throughout the years. The stories have been amazing, but for some people, the stories have been very sad. And this is the case of Marlon Moraes, a fighter who looked like he would be a future champion one day, and then he goes on a 7-fight losing streak where all his losses were by TKO/finish. After losing to Rafael Sunsao, Marlon Moraes went on a 4-fight winning streak and even KO'd now champion, the Funk Master Aljo, and that was a vicious KO by knee. After that fight, he fought Jimmy Rivera, and then he got his revenge over Rafael Sunsao, and he beat him, which led him to a title shot against Henry Cejudo in one of the most dramatic and just interesting UFC fights ever, because the fight started off, Henry Cejudo, his legs were giving out. Marlon Moraes was kicking the shit out of his legs. He was doing so well. It looked like Marlon Moraes was going to be a future champion. But then the gas tank started setting in. Marlon Moraes was slowing down as Henry Cejudo was building, and Henry Cejudo got the finish. But it was still a great effort for Marlon. In everyone's eyes, he still looked like a future potential champion, as he had the skills to give Henry Cejudo a lot of trouble. So things looked good for Marlon Moraes, even though he got finished. And he came back and fought the King of Rio, Jose Aldo. And even though people think Aldo won, Marlon Moraes still got the split decision win. And this fight is still debated till this day. There's a small group of people that think Marlon did enough to win, but the consensus is that everyone thinks Aldo won. But things still look decent for Marlon Moraes. He was coming off a layoff, and he was coming off a finished loss. So people gave him some slack, and they said it is what it is. Hopefully Marlon Moraes looks better in this next one. And he fought Corey the Sandman. And in this fight, even I thought Marlon would win this fight. But man, Corey Sandhagen styled on him. The first round, it was a bit of a back and forth. But then in the second round, Corey Sandhagen styled on him and landed a spinning kick. And his foot landed on Marlon's temple, which just finished him right off the bat. And now the dangerous contender was 1-2 in his last 3 fights. And this was a time where people were kind of writing him off, but they still had hope for him because everyone knows how good Corey Sandhagen is. After this fight, Marlon makes the biggest mistake in his MMA career that he could have made. And to everyone's surprise, he comes back just under 2 months and he fights Rob Font. So just for context, he fought Corey Sandhagen in October of 2020 and he fought Rob Font in December of 2020. And a quick turnaround for someone who just got finished. People who win fights easily don't even have this fast of a turnaround. So every fan was saying this is too quick, he just got finished, and everyone was right. And the fight starts as a typical Marlon fight. He gives everyone hope, has a little bit of success on the ground with Font. Font gets back up, and Font, his boxing is so good, he just catches Marlon with a jab that visibly hurts Marlon, that he lands that uppercut, and Marlon goes down and Font finishes the fight. And yeah, man, this is where people knew the end for Marlon Moraes is near, because his chin is just done. His turnaround was too quick. And unlike the Corey Sandhagen fight where he wasn't getting hurt by every shot, Marlon Moraes got hurt by a jab in this fight. So yeah, his chin was toast and people knew that. But Marlon Moraes has a fighting spirit and he really wanted to get a win. Although a lot of people told Marlon Moraes to retire, I had a little bit of hope. And I was thinking maybe if he took 1 year to a year and a half off and just rested his body, focused on his training. Every fighter says you learn more when you're at a training camp. Because in training camp, you just focus on getting everything perfect. And when you're outside of training camp, it can be more loose. So I thought if Marlon Moraes took a year or even 2 years off, he could come back stronger. But that wasn't the case because Marlon Moraes came back and he fought Merab Dvalishvili. And man, this one was a better performance for him. But still, at the end, it didn't end well at all. So September 25th, 2021, Marlon Moraes is fighting Merab. And the fight starts off with a bang. Marlon hurts Merab so badly, he drops him a bunch, but he gasses out. If he didn't gas out, things could have been different, but man, he gasses out. And then, as we think Merab is done, he comes back and ends the first round off with beating the living crap out of Marlon Moraes on the ground. But the first round, you could have given to Marlon still, even though Merab was close to finishing him, because Marlon had more damaging moments. But in the second round, it was all over. Marlon was too gassed, he blew his load. And it was over for Marlon as Merab won by TKO. And this was the final nail in the coffin, in my opinion. The Font fight completely destroyed his chin. But in my opinion, this Merab fight destroyed Marlon's mentality because he was so close to winning and he still didn't. And then the bad luck didn't stop for Marlon Moraes because he fought the young prospect, the future bantamweight champion, in my opinion, Song Yadong. And everyone knew Marlon Moraes was going to lose in the first round. And guess what happened? He lost in the first round. And Song Yadong got a KO over Marlon Moraes in the first round of their fight. And yeah, this was Marlon Moraes' last UFC fight, as he was cut from the promotion after this fight. And he signed to PFL. PFL took him the moment they could. And everyone thought Marlon Moraes would go on a tear in PFL and he would become a PFL champion. After the Song Yadong fight, Marlon Moraes had 3 fights in the PFL, which he all lost by TKO. And honestly, all these fights, even though he lost them by a finish, he still looked good. You can clearly tell his skills and his chin are on a different level. If he had a chin, he would still be on a tear right now, but man, he would be basically winning all these fights and then just get flatline finished. Or he would get dropped with leg kicks and he couldn't continue. Yes, that happened in a fight in the PFL. He lost by leg kicks because he took too much damage with the leg. So it was clear that even though Marlon Moraes, he had the skills, but his body just wasn't strong enough. His chin just wasn't strong enough. So finally, June 8th, 2023, Marlon Moraes called it quits to his MMA career. He retires, and good for him, because even though his retirement was a little late, it's better late than never, because he saved himself from a lot of potential future damage. And I hope nothing for the best of him. I hope he can find success outside of fighting. Maybe he could be a coach or something. I don't know. I hope he finds a success outside of fighting. And yeah, man, this was the saddest downfall in MMA I've ever seen. I know the way he was getting knocked out, people have been knocked out more viciously. He never really got flatlined, like he was out cold or anything. Most of it was he was taking too much damage and he couldn't continue. But even though the amount of fights he lost, that was a really sad downfall, because he's not that old. He's only 35, but the amount of damage he's taken, it was too much for him. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just want to talk about one of the saddest downfalls in MMA/UFC history. Thank you guys for watching and have a good day.